The purpose of education is not literacy alone. Through education, we want to bring about a change from ignorance to knowledge, from injustice to justice. So it is a social instrument. Whether the present policy is serving this purpose, as a privileged section who are in the educational field, we are aware of the consequences. For any policy, there is a declared objective, there is a hidden agenda, and there will be an unexpected consequence. We must know this. The declared objective seems to be modernization, making India a brilliant state, patriotic call, everything is there. Hidden agenda, we know that they want to mold the state to suit the needs of a few, that we understand. Unexpected consequence is that people like us are now raising the voice against injustice of the present as well as of the past. Concurrent list. Education today is in concurrent list. As teachers, you know what is meant by concurrence. Concurrence does not mean one should accept what the other stated. That is not the dictionary meaning of concurrence. You should concur with others. Consultation precedes. You try to convince the other and try to arrive at a consensus. That is concurrence. Education was brought to the concurrent list during emergency through 42nd Amendment. But until 2020, the concurrence had some sense. The Tamil Nadu objected to the model schools. The model schools are not in Tamil Nadu even today. But the state government has introduced a different kind of model schools now. Our major complaint is that there was no attempt for concurrence before the policy was evolved. Second thing, somebody writes something and the union asks others to carry it out. There was no wider consultation. A policy should be the product of consultation, and consultation should not be a mere ritual for agreeing to a declared policy. So that is one thing. Second thing, if at all some states in India are known as educationally developed states, for example, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Punjab and Karnataka are the states which are listed as the most progressive states in education. That was due to the efforts made by the state governments. If other states are backward, that means that the state governments there failed. In Tamil Nadu, we fought for an education policy, language policy. Our Andhra Pradesh friend was telling that there must be a primary school within 3 kilometers, 1 kilometer, something like that. This policy was introduced by Kamaraj when he was the chief minister here. He ordered his officials to see that there will be a primary school within 3 kilometers and there should be a high school within 10 kilometers. It is the initiative of the states that enabled a few states to come forward, educational backward. The union government cannot have a claim over this. Now we fear that if we lose our rights, states' rights in education, the disparity among states in the field of education may widen. May not. It is going to be widened. So we want to preempt that by opposing the national education policy which deprives. the national education policy, when people raised the voice for the state's rights, Kasturi Rangan, the second architect of the that particular policy, stated no, states are given enough space in this. There are two categories of institution mentioned in the new education policy. Rashtriya. Rashtriya means central, union. Rajya, the states. Rajya institutions are not given the right to formulate a policy. The Rajya institutions are asked only to carry out the policy given by the center. This is not autonomy. Autonomy means delegated freedom. If we have no freedom in formulating a policy for our people, because we know the conditions of the people here, if the government elected by us is unable to carry out policies to suit the needs of the particular state, then what is the meaning of a government? We cannot always look at the remote or distance union for everything that we want here. So this disparity is very, very alarming. Here the question arises, the policy has already come into force, 2020, the third year is on. In this policy, there is no plan for increasing the number of institutions. Population is coming up, rising, but there is no mention about increasing the number of institutions, either school or higher education institutions. On the other hand, they propose plans to reduce the number of institutions so as to facilitate complex schools or complex colleges. As per the new education policy, at present there are nearly 55,000 higher education institutions. This policy envisages that by 2035, the 55,000 higher education institutions would be reduced to 12,500. Complex, larger institutions with more staff, with more faculty, multidisciplinary, multilingual. Number of institutions are going to be reduced. Is it a policy meant for people's education? When complex system comes, the village schools and the rural institutions are being merged. The merger is a step towards closure. In Tamil Nadu too, we face the situation. The village schools are going to be merged first. That means the village students will not have access to the school. You'll have to go far beyond. And how many students can afford to this? So the education opportunities are being distanced. We want education available, accessible to all. This very purpose is being upset by the education policy. And another thing is that there is no discussion about funding. Funding, who will finance? The real fact that troubles us is that the number of government schools have become stagnated. The number of aided schools are not going to increase. On the other hand, unaided courses in aided institutions are going to increase. So with the increase in population, the increase in the education institution would benefit only the private sector, corporate sector. They are going to be the controllers of education. All the governments, state government, whether it is Kerala or Tamil Nadu or Haryana, whatever it may be, have a grievance. We do not have funds. There is no resources for the states to run more schools, more colleges. What is responsible for it? The revenue distribution in our constitution originally was that 80% of the revenue goes to the center, 20% with the states. But responsibilities, 80% responsibility for the states, 20% for the union. Now with the introduction of GST, even the revenue powers are lost. Having surrendered your revenue powers to the union, dictatorial union, what is the sense in bemoaning the lack of resources? So it is not a mere question of education. It is linked with economic issues, linked with the planning. So we must urge for a holistic revision of policies. Holistic revision. Without resources, you cannot have government schools and colleges. If government's participation in education is less, more people will be denied of education. So government had to play an active role. It cannot be mere facilitator for self-financing institutions. You should regulate the self-financing institutions. You should promote government and aided institutions. This reality is confronting us. How you are going to face it? Let us come out openly that the very system, even the existing system, is rotten. And it is a political question too. The political ideologies must prevail. Political opportunism cannot be the main criterion. Ideologies are important. There is a struggle between dogmatism and pragmatism. Are you going to sacrifice, compromise your dogmas for pragmatism? Pragmatism should serve the people, not for the survival of any party or government. Unless we are vigilant, unless the educated people come forward to raise their voice, then we will be fighting a losing battle. And one of our friends mentioned that why many are silent. Mao once said, all the revolutions commence only with few people. Revolutions first originate in your brain, in your thought. It is translated into action only when people gather. The leadership comes from a few. And it should become a moment. And making it a moment is in your hands. Today we may be few, but we have got a more important weapon with us. Moral stature. We are not fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for all. For our upcoming generations, future generation, for those people who do not have voice. Here education, our friend Jnanasekharan was also telling something about the condition, how the power concentration, wealth concentration with the same minority. Friend, history of civilization is a history of transformation. Power distribution, wealth distribution, opportunity distribution are going to be perfected through politics, through education, through economic ideas. It is a fact that classes have changed in the West. Those people who were slaves once could become masters in other countries. But in India, the social structure remains the same. Though we adopt so many modern economic educational policies, society is the basis. Social concern is the basis upon which any policy can be built. It is equitable society, not by offering equitable opportunities. In order to make equitable society, egalitarian society, the deprived sections have to be given more attention, have to be given more resources. That will lead to equality. Equality cannot be confined to mere opportunities. Equality is objective. So those moments which are interested egalitarianism, equality, whether it is a Dravidian movement or it is a communist socialist movement, they must have this clarity in their mind. Electoral politics alone cannot change the cannot change the society. You should be the moral voice of the common people. Unless we become the voice of the people, we cannot change it. And you people, you are teachers, you can become professors too. What is the difference between teaching and professing? Profess, it is an ideological oriented. Teach what is written in the book can be taught. But professor, a college professor, many professors do not know now, is expected to be an exponent of ideas. The teaching should lead to professing. You can become a professor. You can become a professing community. You become the conscience of the people. You become the voice of the people. You become the front line or soldiers of the struggle, which is very important. You cannot change the policy with mere, what you call, AC room discussions. You'll have to go out. Our concern must be known to them. When Rajiv Gandhi introduced a reform, we were critical of it. And that could be altered later on through Acharya Ramamurthy Committee. Never the battle is lost. Never think that it is all lost. What can we do? They are implementing it. Let them implement. We will see that these are halted at the appropriate time. We will make use of election as an instrument of offsetting that anti-people education policy. But election alone cannot be depended upon. The campaign should go on. You should reach everyone, not only in the town, to the village, to every house. It should be people's struggle, not the struggle carried by elite. We should convert the struggle into a people's struggle. We will change the government or change the government's attitude. We will see that this is done in near future. So it is a national crisis. It is a social crisis. We realize that. We will confront it. We are determined to defeat it. Our determination is very important. It is not a leisurely expression of our dissent. It is a calculated attempt to resist and what you call undo the anti-people policy. Thank you.
உன் கடவுளை விட, உன் சாஸ்திரத்தை விட, உன் முன்னோரை விட, உன் வெங்காயம் வழக்கமாத்தை விட, உன் அறிவு பெருசு, அதை சிந்தி.